This is Mr. Eugene, and today we're examining the phrase that's weaponized in millions of marriages daily. 3 words that shut down every conversation. 3 words that excuse every behavior. 3 words that make accountability impossible and problem-solving futile. I don't feel attracted to you anymore. I don't feel like it tonight. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel connected. I don't feel heard. I don't feel safe. I don't feel respected. These 3 words have become the ultimate trump card in modern marriage. The conversation ender, the get-out-of-jail-free card, the excuse for any behavior, and the justification for avoiding any responsibility. Why? Because feelings have been elevated to unquestionable authority. If she feels something, it must be true. If she doesn't feel something, that's definitive. Her feelings cannot be challenged, cannot be questioned, cannot be examined for accuracy or reasonableness. Her feelings have become her reality, and everyone else is required to accept that reality as absolute truth, even when it contradicts objective facts, even when it changes daily, even when it destroys everything. This is destroying marriages at scale, not because feelings don't matter, but because feelings have been weaponized, turned into tools of manipulation and control, used to avoid accountability and justify destructive behavior, made into gods that cannot be questioned. Stay with me. Once you see how this actually operates, you'll recognize it everywhere. How I don't feel became ultimate authority. Let me explain how we got here. How feelings became the unquestionable trump card that overrides everything else. The cultural programming women have been taught from childhood that their feelings are sacred, that emotions are wisdom, that if they feel something, it's valid and important and must be honored. Trust your feelings are your truth. Your feelings tell you what you need. Never ignore your feelings. Always listen to your heart. This creates a framework where feelings become authoritative, not just information to consider, not just one data point among many, but the primary source of truth that overrides logic, facts, commitments, and responsibilities. If she feels hurt, someone hurt her. If she feels disrespected, someone disrespected her. If she feels unloved, someone failed to love her. The feeling is proof. The feeling is evidence. The feeling is reality. Nobody taught her that feelings can be wrong, that feelings can be based on false assumptions, that feelings can be manipulated by hormones, stress, lack of sleep, social media comparison, that feelings change constantly and aren't reliable indicators of objective truth. She was taught feelings equal truth, so when she says I don't feel, she's not sharing information for discussion, she's declaring reality that cannot be challenged. The therapy culture reinforcement, modern therapy culture has reinforced this catastrophically. The endless focus on how do you feel and your feelings are valid has created a generation of women who believe their feelings are beyond examination. In therapy, feelings get validated automatically. The therapist's job became making her feel heard rather than helping her examine whether her feelings are accurate. I understand why you feel that way became the default response instead of let's examine whether that feeling is based on accurate perception. This creates women who've spent years in therapy being told their feelings are valid, that if they feel something, it matters, that anyone challenging their feelings is invalidating them, that feelings don't need to make sense to others, they just need to be honored. So when her husband questions her feelings, when he suggests maybe her feeling isn't based on reality, she experiences it as invalidation, as attack, as him failing to accept her truth. The feelings became sacred, untouchable, beyond examination, and anyone attempting to examine them became the enemy. The Believe Women extension, the broader cultural message of Believe Women extended from serious accusations into everyday feelings and perceptions. If a woman says she feels something, you believe her. You don't question it. You don't ask for evidence. You don't examine whether her feeling corresponds to reality. This might be appropriate for serious accusations. It's catastrophic for marriage, because marriage requires examining feelings, discussing whether perceptions are accurate, challenging assumptions, working through emotional reactions that don't match reality. But if her feelings are automatically believed, if questioning her feelings is invalidating her marriage becomes impossible, because half the relationship is operating from unquestionable emotional authority, while the other half has to just accept whatever feelings get declared. The weapon, how I don't feel, destroys everything. Now let me show you exactly how this phrase operates as a weapon in marriage, how it shuts down accountability, prevents problem solving, and makes the relationship unworkable. I don't feel shuts down accountability. He addresses something she did, something objectively problematic. She overspent the budget. She disrespected him publicly. She violated an agreement they made. He brings it up calmly and specifically. Her response: I don't feel like you appreciate everything I do. I don't feel heard in this relationship. I don't feel safe expressing myself when you attack me like this. Notice what just happened. He tried to address her behavior. She turned it into her feelings. Now the conversation isn't about what she did wrong. It's about her feelings of not being appreciated, not being heard, not feeling safe. His attempt at accountability became him causing her negative feelings. The person whose behavior created the problem is now the victim. The person trying to solve the problem is now the villain. The behavior never gets addressed because her feelings became the new topic. And feelings can't be argued with, can't be proven false, can't be dismissed. So the conversation ends with him apologizing for making her feel bad rather than her being accountable for the behavior he addressed. I don't feel excuses any behavior. She's cold, distant, hostile. He asks what's wrong. She says, I don't feel connected to you right now. This feeling now excuses her behavior completely. She doesn't have to be warm or pleasant or engaged because she doesn't feel connected. Her feeling justifies treating him poorly. But look at the circular logic. She doesn't feel connected, so she treats him coldly. Treating him coldly damages connection further, which justifies more cold treatment, which damages connection more. The feeling becomes self-fulfilling prophecy that excuses indefinite bad behavior. She withholds intimacy. When he addresses it, she says, I don't feel attracted to you right now. The feeling excuses the withholding. She doesn't have to maintain physical intimacy because she doesn't feel attraction. Her feeling is sufficient justification. But why doesn't she feel attracted? Often because she's stopped maintaining the relationship behaviors that create attraction. She's critical, disrespectful, distant. These things kill attraction on both sides. But her lack of feeling becomes excuse rather than symptom she needs to address. I don't feel makes problem solving impossible. He identifies a problem. They're not spending quality time together. He suggests solutions. Date nights, weekend trips, dedicated time without phones. Her response, I don't feel like going on forced dates. I don't feel like we should have to schedule time together. I don't feel like that would fix anything. Her feelings about the solutions prevent implementing solutions. Every suggestion gets vetoed by, I don't feel like that would work. There's no logic to it, no reasoning, just feelings that the solution wouldn't feel right. This makes solving any problem impossible, because every solution gets rejected based on her feeling about it, not based on whether it would actually work, based on whether it feels right to her. And since nothing feels right when you're in a negative emotional state, nothing can be tried. The problem persists indefinitely, not because there are no solutions, because her feelings veto all solutions before they're even attempted. The specific deployments, the most destructive phrases. Let me break down the specific I don't feel phrases that destroy marriages and what they actually mean versus what they claim to mean. I don't feel attracted to you anymore, what she claims it means. Something about him changed. He became less attractive. He's not maintaining himself. He's not being the man she married. What it actually means most of the time. She stopped investing in the relationship emotionally. She's built up resentment through years of avoiding accountability. She's comparing him to romanticized alternatives or past versions of him. She's not putting in the mental effort to maintain attraction. Attraction in long-term relationships requires maintenance, requires choosing to see your partner positively, requires investing emotionally, requires not feeding resentment, requires not comparing. When she says she doesn't feel attracted anymore, she's often describing the result of her own lack of investment while framing it as his failure, but you can't argue with feelings. So he can't point out that she stopped trying in the bedroom, stopped being pleasant, stopped investing emotionally, all of which kill attraction both ways. He's just supposed to accept that she doesn't feel attracted and figure out how to become attractive again while she does nothing. I don't feel like it tonight, what she claims it means. She's tired. She's stressed. She's not in the mood. It's about this particular night, what it actually means most of the time. She doesn't prioritize physical intimacy. She uses feeling as gatekeeper for something that should be maintained regardless of feeling. She's turned intimacy into something that only happens when spontaneous desire strikes rather than something she maintains as part of the relationship. Men don't operate this way. Men maintain intimacy even when tired, even when stressed, even when not overwhelmingly in the mood, because they understand it's important for the relationship. But she's been taught her feeling is authoritative. If she doesn't feel like it, that's the end of the discussion. Never mind that I don't feel like it tonight has become I don't feel like it most nights, which has become once monthly pity sex. The feeling became excuse for systematically withdrawing physical intimacy. But it can't be challenged because it's her feeling. I don't feel appreciated, what she claims it means. He's not showing appreciation. He's taking her for granted. He's not recognizing her contributions. What it actually means most of the time. No amount of appreciation will ever be enough. She's filtering out all evidence of appreciation and focusing only on moments it's absent. She's using this feeling to justify resentment and poor treatment of him. He's working 60 hours weekly, providing income. He's expressing gratitude. He's acknowledging her contributions. But she doesn't feel appreciated. The feeling overrides all objective evidence of appreciation. Why doesn't she feel appreciated? Often because she's decided not to. Because feeling unappreciated gives her moral high ground. Justifies treating him poorly. Excuses withholding warmth and intimacy. But you can't prove appreciation to someone who's decided they don't feel it. You can show it 1,000 ways. If the feeling is, I don't feel appreciated, all evidence gets filtered out and the feeling remains. I don't feel safe what she claims it means. He's threatening, intimidating, creating an environment where she can't express herself. What it actually means most of the time, he's holding boundaries. He's not accepting bad behavior. He's pushing back on manipulation. And she's labeling his refusal to be manipulated as not feeling safe. When he addresses her behavior, she doesn't feel safe. When he maintains a boundary, she doesn't feel safe. When he insists on accountability, she doesn't feel safe. Not feeling safe has become code for he won't let me do whatever I want without consequence. Actual safety isn't the issue. Control is the issue. She doesn't feel safe because she can't control him completely. But once she deploys, I don't feel safe, he's immediately on defense. Because not making her feel safe sounds like he's being abusive. He's not. He's just refusing to be controlled. But the feeling weapon is deployed, and he's now the bad guy. I don't feel heard what she claims it means. He's not listening. He's not understanding her. He's dismissing her perspective, what it actually means most of the time. He's not agreeing with her. He's not doing what she wants. He's not validating her irrational position. She talked. He listened. He understood. He just disagrees with her conclusion or won't do what she wants. But disagreement gets reframed as not feeling heard. Feeling heard has become code for agree with me and do what I want. If he doesn't agree, he didn't really hear. If he doesn't comply, he doesn't understand. This makes any disagreement impossible, because disagreeing with her means she doesn't feel heard. And not feeling heard means he's failing as a husband, so he either agrees with everything or he's the problem. Real examples. The weapon in action. Example 1. The budget violation, they agreed on a budget. She exceeded it by $800 on unnecessary purchases. He addresses it calmly. We agreed on this budget. What happened? We can't sustain this pattern. Her response. I don't feel like you trust me with money. I don't feel appreciated for everything I manage in this household. I don't feel like you understand the pressure I'm under. Honestly, I don't feel safe bringing up anything financial with you because you always attack me. Look at what happened. Objective fact. She violated agreed budget by $800. His response, calm request for discussion. Her deployment. 4. I don't feel statements that turn his reasonable accountability request into him not trusting her, not appreciating her, not understanding her, and making her feel unsafe. Now, instead of discussing the $800 budget violation, they're discussing her feelings. And feelings can't be proven wrong, so the budget violation never gets addressed. She successfully weaponized feelings to avoid accountability. Example 2, the intimacy desert. They're having sex maybe once every 6 weeks. He addresses it respectfully. This is really difficult for me. Physical intimacy is important. I need this to be more regular. Can we work on this together? Her response, I don't feel attractive anymore. I don't feel like you desire me as a person, just my body. I don't feel emotionally connected enough for physical intimacy. I don't feel like you understand how exhausted I am. I don't feel safe being vulnerable when you're just focused on sex. 5. I don't feel statements. Each one makes him the problem. He doesn't make her feel attractive. He doesn't connect emotionally. He doesn't understand. He's not safe. He's just focused on sex. Never mind that she's gained 40 pounds and hostile to suggestions she exercise. Never mind that she creates constant emotional chaos, preventing connection. Never mind that physical intimacy is emotional connection for men. Never mind that once every 6 weeks is destroying the marriage. Her feelings trump all of this. The feelings become the reality. And he's left feeling guilty for having needs while she's absolved of all responsibility for the dead bedroom she created. Example 3, the disrespect confrontation. She disrespects him publicly. In front of friends, she mocks his opinion, contradicts him unnecessarily, makes him look stupid. He addresses it privately afterward. When you do that in front of others, it's humiliating. It undermines me. I need you to stop. Her response, I don't feel like I can be myself around you. I don't feel like you want an equal partner. You want someone who just agrees with everything. I don't feel respected for my opinions. I don't feel like you can handle me being strong. 3. I don't feel statements that completely invert the situation. He's addressing her public disrespect of him. She's made it about her not feeling able to be herself, not feeling respected, not feeling like he can handle her strength. The actual disrespect never gets acknowledged, never gets addressed, never changes. Because her feelings became the topic, and feelings are unquestionable authority. Why this is so destructive? The weaponization of I don't feel doesn't just prevent individual conversations from being productive, it systematically destroys the marriage's ability to function. Accountability becomes impossible if every attempt to address her behavior gets countered with, I don't feel. Accountability never happens. Problems never get solved because the person creating problems can always reframe themselves as victim of bad feelings. Over years, this creates marriages where one person has complete immunity from consequences, can violate agreements, create problems, behave destructively, all without accountability, because feelings trump facts. The husband's choice becomes accept bad behavior indefinitely, or be the villain who doesn't validate her feelings. Most men choose the first option until they can't anymore. Then they leave. And she's shocked because from her perspective, she was just expressing valid feelings. Problem solving dies. Every solution gets vetoed by, I don't feel like that would work. Every suggestion gets rejected based on feeling rather than logic. This creates marriages stuck in permanent dysfunction. Problems identified but never solved. Solutions proposed but never implemented. Patterns destroying the relationship but never changed. Because her feelings about solutions matter more than whether solutions would actually work, the marriage becomes about managing her feelings. The entire relationship restructures around managing her emotional state. Not building together, not solving problems, not growing, just trying to prevent negative feelings or respond to negative feelings. He's walking on eggshells, trying not to trigger bad feelings. She's weaponizing bad feelings to control and avoid accountability. The marriage dies while both people are trapped in feeling management instead of partnership. He loses his voice if her feelings are ultimate authority, and his perspective can always be overridden by, I don't feel. He effectively has no voice. He can present facts, logic, reasonable requests, boundaries. All can be dismissed with I don't feel statements. His reality doesn't matter, only her feelings matter. Over time, he stops trying, stops sharing perspective, stops requesting change, stops attempting to solve problems. Because he's learned his voice doesn't matter compared to her feelings, he becomes silent, withdrawn, checked out. Not because he's cold, because he's been systematically silenced by the feeling weapon. What feelings actually are and aren't, let me be clear about what feelings actually are so we can see how distorted this has become. Feelings are information, not authority. Feelings are data points, useful information about internal state, but they're not authoritative truth about external reality. If she feels disrespected, that's information. It tells you she experienced something as disrespectful. It doesn't tell you whether actual disrespect occurred. It doesn't tell you whether her perception is accurate. Feelings need to be examined. Where is this feeling coming from? What assumptions is it based on? Is it responding to reality or to interpretation of reality? Is it influenced by other factors like stress hormones, comparison, social media? But treating feelings as information that needs examination is now invalidating. Feelings became truth that must be accepted rather than data that should be investigated. Feelings change. Constantly, feelings are not stable. They fluctuate based on sleep, stress, hormones, blood sugar, social comparison, what she read, online conversation with a friend, memory of past events. Today, she doesn't feel attracted. Tomorrow, she might. Today, she doesn't feel appreciated. Tomorrow, the same level of appreciation might feel sufficient. If feelings are treated as authoritative truth, then truth changes daily. What's true today is false tomorrow. What she doesn't feel today, she might feel tomorrow. This creates chaos. Because you cannot build stable relationship on constantly changing feelings treated as ultimate reality. Feelings can be wrong. This is the most important part. Feelings can be factually incorrect. She can feel disrespected when no disrespect occurred. She can feel unappreciated while receiving substantial appreciation. She can feel unloved while being deeply loved. She can feel unsafe while being completely safe. Feelings are responses to perception. If perception is distorted, Feelings will be distorted too. If she's filtering out positive evidence and focusing only on negative, her feelings will reflect negative reality that doesn't actually exist. But saying your feeling is wrong is now forbidden, invalidating, gaslighting, even when the feeling is objectively based on false perception. What needs to change this pattern is destroying marriages. Here's what has to shift. For women, feelings are not ultimate authority. Your feelings matter. They're valid as feelings. But they're not authoritative truth about reality. They're information about your internal state, not facts about external circumstances. If you feel something, examine it. Where is this coming from? What am I basing this on? Is my perception accurate? Am I filtering information? Am I being influenced by comparison or stress or hormones? Stop using I don't feel as conversation ender. Start using it as conversation starter. I don't feel appreciated. Let me examine whether that feeling matches reality. Is he actually not appreciating me, or am I filtering out his appreciation? Your feelings are your responsibility to manage and examine, not his responsibility to prevent or validate. Stop weaponizing feelings to avoid accountability. When he addresses your behavior, don't counter with feelings. If you violated the budget, address the budget violation. If you disrespected him, acknowledge the disrespect. If you're withholding intimacy, discuss the withholding. His attempt to address your behavior is not attack on your feelings. It's attempt to solve problem. Reframing it as feelings attack is manipulation that prevents all accountability. You can have feelings about being addressed. Those feelings don't negate the behavior that needed addressing. Both can be true. He can address your behavior and you can feel uncomfortable. Your discomfort doesn't mean his addressing was wrong. Separate feelings from facts. I feel hurt that you brought this up doesn't mean therefore what you brought up is invalid. Facts remain facts regardless of feelings about them. Recognize that feelings change commitments. I don't feel attracted doesn't excuse violating commitment to maintain intimacy. I don't feel like it doesn't justify withdrawing from relationship responsibilities. I don't feel connected doesn't permit treating him poorly. Feelings fluctuate. Commitments remain. You committed to certain behaviors and responsibilities when you married. Your feelings about those commitments don't release you from them. When you don't feel like maintaining commitments, that's when maintaining them matters most. That's when character shows. That's when you prove you're operating from more than just feelings. For men, don't accept feelings as ultimate authority. When she deploys I don't feel, don't automatically accept it as conversation-ending truth. Examine it. I understand you feel that way. Let's examine whether that feeling is based on accurate perception. What specifically am I doing that creates this feeling? Make her ground feelings in specifics, not just I don't feel appreciated. What specifically makes you feel unappreciated? What appreciation are you wanting that you're not receiving? Often she can't answer because the feeling isn't based on your actual behavior. It's based on her decision to feel that way regardless of evidence. Don't accept feelings as excuse for bad behavior. I don't feel connected doesn't justify treating you poorly. I don't feel attracted doesn't justify dead bedroom. I don't feel appreciated doesn't justify disrespect. Her feelings are hers to manage. Your behavior needs to be reasonable and loving. But you're not responsible for creating specific feelings in her. That's impossible. Feelings come from her interpretation, not just your actions. Hold the line on accountability when you address her behavior. Don't let I don't feel derail the conversation. Return to the behavior. I understand you have feelings about me bringing this up. We can discuss those after we address the behavior I brought up. You violated our budget agreement. That's the current topic. Refuse to let feelings become the new topic that makes the actual issue disappear. Both can be addressed. But the behavior that created need for conversation gets addressed first. If she cannot discuss her behavior without making it about her feelings, that's information. That tells you she's using feelings as weapon to avoid accountability. Address that pattern directly. Final thoughts, I don't feel has become the most destructive phrase in modern marriage. Not because feelings don't matter, but because feelings have been elevated to unquestionable authority that trumps facts, commitments, accountability, and problem solving. Feelings are information, useful information. But they're not truth. They're not authority. They're not conversation enders. They're not excuses for bad behavior. They're not weapons to avoid accountability. When feelings become ultimate authority, marriage becomes impossible. Because you cannot build partnership with someone whose feelings override everything else. Cannot solve problems when solutions get vetoed by feelings. Cannot maintain accountability when feelings excuse all behavior. Cannot function when one person's internal emotional state has more authority than objective reality. The marriages that work maintain healthy relationship to feelings. Feelings are acknowledged, examined, discussed. But they're not ultimate authority. Facts matter. Commitments matter. Behavior matters. Reality matters. The marriages that fail let feelings become dictators. Where I don't feel ends all conversations, excuses, all behavior prevents all accountability, makes all problem solving impossible. Women who weaponize feelings destroy their marriages and blame their husbands for not validating them enough. Women who treat feelings as information build marriages where both people can be heard and problems can be solved. Men who accept feelings as ultimate authority lose themselves completely. Men who require feelings to be grounded in reality maintain partnerships where both people matter. Drop a comment. Men has, I don't feel, been weaponized against you. Women, do you use feelings as ultimate authority? Subscribe for the hard truths about marriage that explain why feeling worship is destroying everything.